This is Android X1138 back with part 2 of the Unfair Advantage Dark Souls Quick Start Guide. So after leaving the Undead Asylum, we take a little crow ride down to Firelink Shrine, which is essentially it's the nexus, the hub of this game, where you're going to get access to a number of the different areas, realms, or whatever you want to call them. Also, as you can see here, by that little message you just saw there, this is an area where you can level up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to focus on faith. And the reason being is because I'm going to show you how to get Astora's straight sword, which, again, if you didn't have the master key, which is why we chose the thief character earlier on, if you have the master key, you can come down to a little shortcut down here that will allow you to get hold of the Dragon Crest Shield and Astora's straight sword. Astora's straight sword will do a lot more damage than anything you're going to be able to get for a little while, or at least until you get the Drake sword, which you get by shooting off the tail of the red dragon that you'll see a little bit later on. But the reason I like to get the Astora's straight sword, and obviously the Dragon Crest Shield, which is a fantastic shield. It has great fire resistance, but the Astora's straight sword allows you to get into the catacombs, as it does divine damage. So that will allow you to actually go into the catacombs very early on and get the rite of kindling. Now, the rite of kindling will let you upgrade bonfires beyond the 10 Estus limit. Essentially, when you revive to human form, you can kindle bonfires, and typically you can only kindle up to 10, which gives you 10 Estus refills. But with the rite of kindling, you can actually go up to 20, which, if you can get very early on the game, again gives you a huge advantage, especially in a situation where, for instance, you're getting invaded and you want to be able to survive that. So as you saw there, I just ran up to this dragon down here and I grabbed 2 items. That was the Dragon Crest Shield and the Astora straight sword. It's a suicide mission, you're gonna die, but literally just run up, grab them as quickly as you can. And as you'll see, I'll show you these items in just a second, but the Dragon Crest Shield has 85 fire protection. The Astora's straight sword does, I think it's like 120 or something divine damage. And the divine damage is really important when you're going into the catacombs, because the only way that you can kill the skeletons and get them to stay dead is by using a divine sword. So if you try and go in with just a standard weapon, they're just going to keep coming back to life, and it's going to make it very, very difficult for you to get through that. So I like to get this early on, A, because it does a lot more damage, as I said, than the standard weapons you're going to be able to get at this point in the game. Plus, obviously, that divine damage is going to come in very handy. I'm just going back down here. The area that we're going into actually here is New Londo Ruins, and you do not want to go exploring too far down here at this point, but it is a useful little area just to harvest a few souls. I'm going to go back down here, kill a few of these little guys, because I want to try and get some souls together. There are a few items I'm going to need to buy when we get up into Undead Berg. Things like the bottomless box come in really handy. You're definitely going to want a weapons repair box. You're going to want to buy a bow, some arrows and things like that, which are going to make your life a lot easier. So come back down here, grab a few souls. There's a few little guys down here that you can kill very, very easily. They don't really put up too much resistance, but if you do give them a chance, these guys will fight back. Also, just carry on running around. They don't give you a hell of a lot, but every little bit counts. just through here, there's another pretty good sword, especially if you're going for a dexterity build. The Astora is a thrusting sword, a bit like a rapier. It's pretty good. It's not one that I tend to use a lot, but it's not a bad weapon at all, and it's a good one to get again early on in the game like this, especially if you're going for a dexterity build. And then once we've got that, we're just going to head back up to the shrine. And here I nearly forget there's a little soul gem down here. So grab that off that corpse and just carry on making way back up to Firelink Shrine. So as you can see, Firelink Shrine just opens up to a lot of different areas. And there are quite a few goodies around here. I'm going to show you where some of the more interesting ones are. I'm not going to show you everything, but I'm going to show you some that you might miss on your first pass. So as you can see, there's a little soul gem over here. It's quite well tucked away, that one. Now, this area we're going to come back to in a few minutes. As you can see, there are skeletons. You can see some of the bones laying around on the floor there. These guys are pretty hard. They're pretty tough. But the Astora's straight sword is going to help you defeat these guys and get them to stay dead. As I mentioned earlier, they will come back to life if you try and fight them with a non-divine weapon. Drop down a bit of a silly place, but not a big deal. You can just jump through this little window here. I'm just doing a little bit of useless running around here for no reason. But I'm going to come back to the bonfire, use up some of these souls, and I'm doing this because I want to be able to level myself up enough to be able to use this sword, the Astora's straight sword. And for that I'm going to need to have 14 faith and at least 10 strength and 10 dexterity. As you can see, my strength was a little low there. I'm also going to level up my endurance because I want to make sure that I can try and keep that ability to roll. I know that when I equip the Astora's straight sword and the Dragon Crest Shield, it's going to be I'm going to be too heavy. But here I'm just showing you some of the moves in the Astora. But I'm actually going to switch over to the Astora's straight sword. So I'm going to run back up here. And up these stairs there's a set of elevators that you'll be able to use once you get to the Undead parish and unlock the gates on at the top here. But in the meantime you can drop down this little hole here. There's a little secret area down here with a bunch of chests in, a bunch of treasure chests. And in here you're going to find things like homeward bones, you're going to find red eye invasion orbs, there's a mace, So a bunch of stuff that can come in very handy. Well, Morning Star, sorry, not a mace. Now, this one here, you've got a couple of choices in what you can do. You can either drop down the ledge down here and fight your way through past the skeletons, or you can just use one of the homeward bones that we just found and make your way back to Firelink Shrine that way. So I'm going to do that for now, and I'm going to come back to the catacombs in a little while. And that's it for part 2 of the Unfair Advantage Guide.